Hello everybody, it's Father Rich here. I'm going to do a contest entry into Vinyl Guru's 5 albums contest. But before I do that, I want to reach out to the generosity of the VC. We have a friend of the VC, Ryan, was in a horrible car accident this past Sunday, September 20th. He's still intensive care in an induced coma. He's had 2 life-saving surgeries. He's a drummer. He's a skateboarder. And he enjoys watching VC YouTube videos. He said my ones make him laugh, so that's good, you know. And there's a GoFundMe page I'm going to leave a link to, and I would love it if all of you could just donate a small amount. The money's going to go directly to his mother, Denise Smith, and I mean, is a good, nice young man, and from the bottom of my heart, I'm reaching out to everybody that's watching this. Just make a small donation, you know, whatever you can. You know, sacrifice a cup of coffee from Starbucks if that's what it is, you know. But anyways, I'm going to do... So Ryan, I hope everything goes well, and I'm praying for you. This 5 albums contest is show 5 albums that mean something to you or remind you of something. That's how I took it. It's been a while since I watched her. It's been a few weeks, I believe. But anyways, and I'm kind of limited what I can show because most of my stuff is in Bakersfield. But I'm going to show this one first. This is The Decline of Western Civilization. And I saw this twice. I saw this at the theater twice. I saw it, the first time I saw it was with my ex. And I was more into punk than she was. And the second time I went, I saw it by myself. And it was kind of depressing. I knew we were parting ways. And the song on here that I used to play a lot at that time was Depression by Black Flag. Depression's got a hold of me. Depression, I can't break free. Depression, it's going to kill me. And I genuinely felt terrible. We split up in like December, and the next year was probably the worst year of my life. By March, I was over the breakup. I mean, she did me. It was the best thing. She did me a favor, actually. I mean, but yeah, that song, Depression. And I'm going to make this a twofer because they're both Black Flag related. This album here, the first song on side 2 is Depression. But the first song on side 1 is Rise Above. And that song just gave me inner strength, you know, rise above, rise above. You know, don't worry about what other people say or think, and you know, we're going to get through this. But yeah, it's actually 2 records, but I'm counting it as 1. Now this next one, it's Gangrene, Older Budweiser. Now this reminds me of the middle to late 80s, more of the later 86 to 89 TV parties that we used to have at my house. A lot of Tom used to come over, Dave, Robert, some other guys. We would come over, we'd watch videos, B-movies, horror movies, Andy Warhol movies, play records. And this one reminds me of that because of the Budweiser. My next door neighbor, Tom, he was a Budweiser drinker. None of the rest of us were. In fact, we started calling them ashtrays because we would say, that's the only good thing a bud can's for is putting your cigarette butts in. But yeah, this reminds me of Tom, and it reminds me of all those TV parties we used to have. I mean, good times, good times. Now this next one is Dead Hippie. Fantastic album cover. This reminds me about a specific concert. And Dead Hippie were the opening band, and the Circle Jerks were the headliner. There was only two bands. It was a benefit for Karen Carpenter. It was like, this concert was the weekend after she passed away. And it was in a storefront on Melrose Boulevard, I believe. No, I think it was Sunset. But it was on the sleazy side of Sunset. Not the posh, glamorous side. And we got in there, and apparently after, the show started, they chained the front doors. It was like a store, but it had glass doors where you could come in, and they chained it. And during the concert, the police came. I guess they wanted to stop the concert, but they couldn't get in because the doors were chained and nobody was letting them in. But yeah, it was a pretty interesting show. Tribute to Karen Carpenter. And this concert reminds me of that night. Great band. This is a picture of the band. I don't know how well you're going to see that. This dude was a singer in the middle with the hat. He was a character. And as you can see, they're not like a hardcore punk band at all. Kind of rock. And very, very, they were very entertaining. They weren't as good as the Circle Jerks, but... Now this one, we're going to start getting a little personal now. And I don't know if I should do this, but I'm gonna, because I'm a dick. This is Downy Mildew, Broom Tree. Very, it's kind of like indie rock, I guess, but I don't think indie rock was a thing yet. It's kind of a... I always lumped all this shit into punk, but now everybody calls every little niche. They're not really punk. They're more of a art rock, REM. I don't know. You know what I mean? I believe they're from Phoenix, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, I had a girlfriend that kind of liked this type of music. She liked the Bee People, Human Hands. In fact, she was an Asian gal, and she was actually in a band that had some records out. And I could have showed her record, but I don't want to put names to this. But anyway, she was she was an exhibitionist. And I didn't know it at the time. But the first time I went to her house, she lived in this house, and there was this apartment building next door. It was in Hollywood. And it was like a 2-story apartment building. And we went into the bedroom to have sex or whatever. And, the bedroom window was open, and I didn't think nothing of it, And, I went over, I think it was the third time. She goes, here. I was standing, she was on the bed, and we're doing oral sex. And I'm standing there, and then I happened to look out the window, and there's another couple upstairs doing oral sex in the window. And I'm going, what the hell, It kind of exciting. And then I looked, there was some other people watching. And what the hell? And yeah, it warped me, man. It was like so, I don't know, man. It kind of got me, it kind of fucked me up, to be quite honest. And eventually we didn't last, but yeah, I was a bit of an exhibitionist there for a while. Now this one here is Current 93, Swastikas for Naughty. Now this was one of a favorite of a little goth girl. She was beautiful. If she was taller, she could have been a model. She was really gorgeous. And she was into tying people up, apparently, bondage, I guess. And I let her tie me up. What the fuck, Now I know people are listening. Oh, how gross, But you got to think. When I was younger, I was a pretty good-looking dude, and I would say after I got divorced, I started working out at the gym when I was 28. By the time I was 35, which is about the time this was, I was probably in the best shape of my life. I was going to the gym 5, sometimes 6 times a week. And I was pretty buffed. So, you can get this picture out of your head. And, I was like a buff Brad Pitt laying naked, tied up, But what ended it with her is, one time I'm lying down on her bed. And she pulls out a fucking knife. And it's like, what the fuck? And like that. And I broke a wooden post on her bed that I was tied to. And she goes, you fucking broke my bed. And I go, you fucking pulled a knife out on me. And I never saw her again. So that's my 5 albums contest. I'm going to show some gatefolds. I'm going to show 5 gatefolds because there's a thread going around that. And this is the Batcave album. And this album was also a favorite of that goth girl. And it says blasphemy, lechery, and blood. That kind of reminds me of her more than the current 93 now that I think about it. Harumi. Really cool psychedelic gatefold. Check that shit out, huh? Brian Jones presents the Pipes of Pan. Pretty cool gatefold there. With some of the musicians from I don't know where. Morocco maybe, or I don't know, somewhere. Northern Africa. Another psych one. The Seeds, Future. And it's, really nice, lovely flowers. Actually, I kind of like the outside of this one better. As I do this one, now that I'm thinking about it. That's pretty cool. And the last one is This Is PIL. And this is actually a little landscape painted by Johnny Rotten, John Lydon. This album starts off pretty weakly, but it ends up building up some steam. It's probably my least favorite of all the Pill albums that I do own. But yeah, I thought it's a pretty interesting painting, I'm not really a big fan of musicians doing art. But it's not as bad as actors trying to make music, I don't like that. Anyways, take care. And everybody, please check out the link. I'm going to leave a link to Ryan. Take care. Just in time, man. Match game's starting right now on the Game Network. You got George Kennedy, Charles Nelson Riley, Richard Dreyfuss, and Betty White are all 4 of the 6 judges right now.